Welcome. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwao. This is the show that guides you through the 2023 AFCON tournament, which is currently taking place in Cote d'Ivoire. It's a great time there, and this show is just there to help you go through the competition so you can enjoy the coverage and enjoy all the games that are happening there. Remember, there's also live radio commentary on Citi 97.3 FM, so it's the full package for you on this network. It's a very interesting day. We'll talk about the games from Tuesday, look ahead to the games later today, and talk about some other very interesting stories emerging from this particular competition in Cote d'Ivoire. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, my guests are ready, and I'll be ready to guide you through the rest of the show. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwao. Once again, let me introduce my guests for today. On my immediate left, Yao. Yao Minta, Yao, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Nathan.
Wonderful. I love the look.
Thank you very much.
It looks like $1 million.
Oh, yeah. Hope it turns to reality.
Yeah, man, I like that. Bernard Abeku is also here. How are you doing, Bernard?
I'm great, boss. I'm solid.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Your messages are welcome on the number on your screen. That's the WhatsApp number.
Maybe you should find out from me. Maybe he made his first £1 million pounds.
Maybe you made your first £1 million at age 21.
I definitely didn't subscribe, though.
Okay,
I definitely didn't subscribe, though.
All right, so I mean, like you said, the WhatsApp number is right there on your screen. You can send in your thoughts and comments on that number. Would love to read what you have got to tell us. Also, some great news for you. Our very good friends at Bet Power are also supporting us. They are the sponsors of this particular show. So the AFCON Daily Show brought to us by Bet Power. Thank you so much, Bet Power, for coming on board. Trust me, you will enjoy the ride between now and the end of the AFCON. We'll get to some on-field action first. We'll get to that a little later, sorry. But let's start off with Black Stars supporters. We know the national team will play on Thursday, and there's a lot happening around the national team, and that includes supporters. Now, according to reports, and if you visit Citi Sports Online and citinewsroom.com, the stories are there. Supporters are quite upset with how they've been treated by the government because they went on the ticket of the sports ministry, which is by extension the government. Yesterday, it emerged that some supporters had received some money, $400 to help them, enjoy their stay in Cote d'Ivoire. This morning in Cote d'Ivoire, there was a press conference. The Ghana Supporters Group, they are there, and their General Secretary is Kasim Awal. He had a few things to say concerning what was happening in relation to the supporters, and he talked about the fact that they were okay, they were fine, they wanted to focus on supporting the Black Stars, and he had a few more things to say concerning their stay in Cote d'Ivoire as we speak.
Has been a leader who is always been a selfish person. He always wants to get things for himself. On this note, we also want to clear that there was an allegation. It's not an allegation. It is clear that he took money from cheaper cash. That was cleared. That money was not appropriately accounted for. And all these are things that accumulated for him to make such comments. We want to clear here that Ghana supporters has a leadership. As we speak, we have acting presidents. All of the executive are acting, and we'll make sure that by coming in a few months, an election will be conducted for us to run Ghana supporters. That we are going to give the Blasters to ensure that they give us a win on Thursday. We will do that. And again, apart from the support that we're going to give them, the chair, we also do all the necessary things that we think it will be possible for us to win the match against Egypt. We're going to do it. Ghana supporters does not only cheer the Blasters on the field of play, we also do a lot of things that will bring a victory to Ghana Blasters and the entire nation.
All right, so that was Kasim Awal, his General Secretary of the Ghana Supporters Union speaking there. Now, they are saying that they are not threatening to expose government officials and that they are fine and that they've received support and they will continue to cheer the Black Stars. Yeah, let me start off with you. Your thoughts on this? The last few days have been very rife with all these supporter stories, stranded, they don't have money, now some have money, now you have the Ghana Supporters Union also coming out to speak. What do you make of all these developments?
In all this, off the field, the Black Stars aren't winning. On the field, the Black Stars also aren't winning, based on what we saw on Sunday. And whether this is true or not true, whether they got money, some people didn't get money, it doesn't help. It's bad PR, and it adds more chaos to the situation in Côte d'Ivoire in connection to the Black Stars, in connection to Ghana. On Monday, I believe, on Monday, Omar Sanda Amadou, our colleague interviewed a couple of supporters on Eyewitness News, and they confirmed that they are going through some struggles in connection to access to getting food, water, proper accommodation. As many as 4 people were being camped in small spaces and all that. And that's when they voiced out their frustrations and said that they've had enough, and if this is what they are going to go through, then they are better off coming back to Ghana. So the government should just come and take them and bring them back to Ghana, because this is not what they promised. Then the follow-up had the ranking member of the Ministry of Youth and Sports Parliamentary Committee, Mr. Honorable Wisdom Woyome. Yeah. He spoke on the issue, and that he said officials on the committee, the parliamentary committee, will move to Côte d'Ivoire yesterday and today to address the issue. Then, at the end of in the final hours of the day yesterday, you had reports coming that some supporters have received $400. Now, this group has come out to deny that there's nothing of that sort happening. They haven't threatened to leave Côte d'Ivoire, to leave the base and come to Ghana. Yeah, in every situation, you always have one side saying one thing and another side saying the other. But in between, there is the truth lying there. And the truth is, none of this helps Ghana. Okay. None of this helps our campaign, because wherever there is smoke, there's some kind of fire. So honestly, I believe, because people were interviewed. Omar Sanders' show, Eyewitness News, they were interviewed and they cried foul about the conditions they were going through. So, these were people who were flown out of Ghana to Côte d'Ivoire. And so why would they get the benefit of flying out to Côte d'Ivoire to go and support their national team, turn around and intentionally mouth the government or people who are connected to the trip or to Ghana's stay in Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana's campaign in Côte d'Ivoire? Honestly, there's no need for them to do that. Okay. If there isn't something really, really important or really, really serious forcing them to do so. And let's be frank. These are people who are a bit connected in some shape or form to the ruling government. And so one of the guys who was interviewed, his name is Daniel, he confirmed that some government officials were involved, to the point that he mentioned some DCs and some MPs who were also involved. And so what that means is that this, yes, the supporters union, they've spoken, but what that also means is that there is truth. There's some level of or element of truth in supporters being flown out to Côte d'Ivoire and facing some struggles. Okay. But like I said, in all this, Ghana isn't winning on the field and Ghana isn't winning off the field, because attached to this, we've had journalists go to cover the Black Stars training sessions, and they voiced their frustrations because they were given just 7 minutes. Just 7 minutes to watch the Black Stars training session. And they had to watch the training session from 150 meters from where the Black Stars trained. How do you build rapport? How do you give incentive to journalists to write positive narratives about the team? Meanwhile, the team that is closest to us in terms of everything that we do, our lifestyle, language, everything, Nigeria, they drew with Equatorial Guinea in their first game. But on Tuesday, they opened their doors to the media to just interact with their players. To the extent that Ghanaian journalists had access to the likes of Victor Osimhen and company, and they had interviews with them. But Ghanaian journalists can't have access to their own players.
Okay.
And so what that means is we are not winning off the field. And it is a it's a bad move from the GFA. They think they are protecting the players or they are protecting themselves, but rather they are hurting the team. Because in all this, the team, it just directs anger towards the team. Because you lost. Nigeria, they didn't lose. They drew.
Okay.
But because they have that kind of rapport with their fans, with the journalists, they will go out there and send the right messages to the fans. And that will help die down the heat. But for us, we are rather stoking the fire and raising the temperature of the fire. Because of issues like this, where you have reports that some supporters have been given $400 to go out there and support Ghana. If you are going to support Ghana, no problem. But why should money from my taxes be used to pay you to go and support? Nigeria does the same. But with Nigeria, it is the private companies that sponsor supporters to go out there and support the national team.
Okay.
If you want to go out there and support the national team, yeah, fine, go. But why should you be given accommodation and all that and be paid? What work are you doing? Supporting your national team, is that work?
I see. Interesting thoughts. Bernard, your thoughts on this? Again, many years ago, we had the Jamepe Commission report after the horrible episode in Brazil. But it looks like, almost 10 years down the line, we haven't learned. We are still taking supporters on the tickets of the state to competitions. And now we have these issues on our hands.
Look, Mr. Kwao, I feel there's nothing wrong in taking funds to go support your national team. Okay. Especially at major events, because there's that bit of energy and zeal that they put into the team or the boys to help them deliver. Now, for the supporters on their part, I know that everyone has a party he or she belongs to. Okay. That's being said. We need to conduct ourselves well when we go to tournament, because we go and meet people of different culture, other countries present there. Whatever impression we leave there might stick on the minds of an individual and they might take it off. And it would be like, this is who a Ghanaian is. That's also aside. I feel that as a fan, when you go to tournament, even before going to the tournament, there are procedures which is being in one media adhered to, or there are processes that we go through to take supporters to this. Your per diems and what have you is well calculated. Prior to, and when you will be given, to go support the national team, and where you are going to stay. Now they take you to this competition. They bash you up 20 buses. They've taken you there. They're giving you a place to sleep. Now, there's assurance that if the two have been done, then you're going to have your money that's due you, they're going to pay you that. Now, there are protocols. There is a representative from the supporters that need to link up with the leader of delegation from the ministry sent to follow up the team for important tourneys like this. Okay. So if there are any grievances, the right channel to carry that through is through your supporters executives to the leader of delegations from the Ministry of Youth and Sport, so that you try and contain the information to make sure it does not affect the team. What's your primary, your basic or elementary role of being there? It is to support the team, and nothing else. And you need not create tension and what have you to paint. Imagine when this sits in the heads of the players. Psychologically, we know that things of the sort have that tendency of affecting the players. Then they begin to think first it was a fan attacking the technical member of the team. Then the fans are crying that they need their monies and their money. How many days have we spent in this tournament? These things really aren't needed. So for me, the right channels, should have been. We should have gone through the right channels to address issues of this sort, other than creating tension and some rumors. Some fans have the thought that when we carry these things to the media and it is negative, it might sell, will force the government to make the down payment. But we've gone into the tournaments, lost our first game to Cape Verde, and our fans aren't rather gathering and focusing to make sure they support the team in thick and thin, to make sure that we get a result that's needed. And this is running into about 44 years should we fail to not win this African Cup of Nations. And the years goes on. And is that how we want to behave as a country at major tournaments of the sort? So for me, I feel the right channels weren't followed to address this is a sensitive issue, to address issues of this sort, because I've been to tournaments where there are leader of delegations, and when even the organizers of such tournaments come and they want anything from the team, they go to the leader of delegation first to try and find out. And these are important people sent from the ministry, that's representing the government in that incident. So in that instance. So I feel some of these issues aren't really needed, but it was a smart move to come quick and clear the air. Our game is just tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yes.
Tomorrow's
Thursday.
Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, so tomorrow, our game is just tomorrow. And to have this before our game, so now if it is not players agitating for something, it's the fans.
But you said something earlier. I want us to go back. You were saying earlier, if I correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that you don't see anything wrong if the state or the government sends fans to a competition.
Absolutely.
So that's your stance.
That's my stance.
You say if the government puts money aside to send fans to go and watch a competition, you have no problem.
No, I have no problem with that.
Okay. Yeah. What do you make?
I have a problem with that.
Okay. What is your problem with
I
that?
have a problem with that. Why should you be paid to go support your country?
Not necessarily paid.
Yeah?
If the government, for example, the government organizes buses and
yeah.
says people who want to go to Cote d'Ivoire, come. Write your name. We go through a certain process. We put you together and we take you there.
Yes.
Really, do you have a problem with that?
Yes, I have a problem with that because of the context that we are dealing with and we are dealing in. Once you bring in the government and Black Stars together, there is bound to be mass levels of corruption.
Not necessarily. Okay, so what if it's not the Black Stars? What if it's just any Ghanaian national team?
Any Ghanaian national team. Yes, then I might be okay with it.
So for you, it's just the Black Stars?
It's just the Black Stars. Because there is vested interest, major vested interest there, because there's a lot of money involved. And that's why I say no when it comes to the Black Stars. That's why I added context. In the context of the Black Stars, this initiative is a no-no.
Sending fans
on
the government's tab.
On government's tab, it's a no-no for me because of the reference you made, the Jamefe Commission. We've had this issue before, and we saw what it led to. Was it good? It wasn't good. It was nothing positive. And so it has happened. We got bent. Why do you want to do it again? For me, I believe that it has already happened, and we should learn from it. Clearly, we are not learning from it. We've not learned from it. The lessons that we picked up from the Jamefe Commission report, the recommendations are there. We haven't brought them to light. We haven't used them in practical terms. And now we had a chance to do so. And again, we've goofed, we've messed up. So for me, looking at what has happened previously, what is happening now, I don't support that idea.
Okay.
I don't support it at all. If you want to go and support, go and support.
Yep.
Why should money from people's contributions in the tax pool be used to fly out people, bus people to go to a tournament to support their national team? If you want to go and support. At the end of the day, there are more problems that the taxes can address in Ghana beyond going to support the Black Stars. At the end of the day, they are well catered for anyway.
Mr. Kwamana, I think that, look, if we should win the trophy, what it brings to Ghana as a nation is large.
Of course, I mean, nobody doubts that.
Nobody doubts that.
So then, if we aren't doubting that, then again, it goes to tell that we need some bit of support. It's a form of motivation. It's either come, through the intrinsic or, extrinsic. And it is important to know that, look, the energy. Well, FIFA has a word for supporters, isn't it?
Of course, they do.
So it means that support is important.
Nobody doubts that.
Yeah, but if the nation is carrying its supporters, it is important because the Black Stars belongs to the nation.
True, but what about the previous episode in Brazil where we saw how things went out of hand?
Brilliant. So then we've not learned. So I feel after Brazil, we needed to have sat down and drawn a plan that, look, anytime we go to the African Cup of Nations, we take 21 buses. This is the number per bus that we want to take. This is the amount that we'll give a fund for feeding. We'll take care of hoteling and internal transportation, at where the event is going to happen. So this is ABCD. If we've structured it that way, we wouldn't have problems of this sort. What are they crying about? Their money is to eat because they're in, if you've traveled to a space where you don't have any relative or what have you around, you know how it feels when you are hungry and there's nobody to look up to, or there's nowhere to find food or something. So I feel that we've not just put in the right structures to make sure these funds are taken care of, so we don't have this noise and what have you coming from them. Because I feel their main motive there is to go and make sure they support the team in sadness or in joy. So for me, I think we should have done things right before going to tournaments of this sort.
So if I get you right,
we've won 4 AFCON titles.
Yes.
2 of them have come away once we didn't host it.
Yes.
How many fans traveled to Libya in 1982 to witness the Black Stars?
That's a different narrative altogether. The world is advancing.
No, yes, the world is advancing. Yes. And so we need to move beyond this colloquial system of we are busing people, we are flying out people.
Now I think it's the best. Now honestly, I think it's the best. I think it's the best.
2014. That was 2014. We haven't learned, we haven't improved.
So for you,
for me, it's a no.
The government should not involve itself.
Rather, try to push for private companies to be the ones to step in. Try to do so and get the private companies to be involved. So at the end of the day, it is the private company that will bus the supporters to Cote d'Ivoire. You give them visibility.
The structure I was initially talking about, if we have it and we say, okay, the private is providing, say, 20 or 10 out of the 20 buses that the government will want to take, then you meet, the private and the government meet at a point. But you cannot say that the Black Stars are going for an important tournament of the sort, and the government will sit and say, look,
it happens. That's what I'm saying. For example, Nigeria. It is glowed that normally.
So private companies.
The tournament. Okay. At the end of the day,
so for you, you are saying that the government needs to be.
Look, the government,
if the government wants to send funds, it should send funds, in a structured way.
It should done in a structured way.
What will you say to a suggestion that says that government should not be involved, but the government creates a certain environment for, say, individuals? So, for example, Ghana speaks to Cote d'Ivoire and says, for the next 1 month, if my people are coming in, if they have, say, a Ghana card, please let them in and all of those things. So the government creates a certain environment where all of us can easily go across and go and watch the competition. Or for you, you feel that the government should get a bus, put people on, have a structure, and then send them there.
There's interest. The government, the government have people who are loyal to their cause. Okay. The government knows that tournaments can bring a lot of glory to the administration. We either take it or leave it. But these are the real issues on the ground. Realistic. I'm being very realistic. The issues on the ground is that, listen, no matter what you do, the government is going to take people. If the government feel that you are going to obstruct it from taking people to tournaments of this sort, they will hide behind the scenes and take people. So if it comes to the light, and we all understand that the government must take people to some of these tournaments, but it should be well structured, and that's the way to go. And if the privates, if it's a private partnership, they come together and they agree, let us do it halfway, and it takes people. Also, I feel it's good and it's all in the interest of developing our game. It is important, Mr. Kwao. It is super important.
Interesting thoughts from my colleagues in studio. One half says government should send funds. The other half says no way, government should not get involved. I don't know what you think, but you can send in your thoughts and comments on our WhatsApp number right there on your screen. Should government send funds, or should the government send funds to international competitions, or the government should avoid doing that and allow the private companies to do that all by themselves? This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll take a very quick break. When we get back, we do some on-field action. There were very interesting games played on Tuesday night. We go through all of them, some great analysis coming right up on the show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kasho. It's proudly sponsored by Bet Power. Bet Power. If you want the biggest payouts, they've got the best odds, and they love Ghanaian football, so why not? So be friends with Bet Power. Just sign up, and you can win big on their platform. They are the proud sponsors of the AFCON Daily Show, and of course, the live commentary of the AFCON on Citi 97.3 FM. That's how come Yao Mintah will make his first million.
You have to do something. I'm really sure the odds on the Black Stars are high because they are not the favorite team to beat Egypt. So if you bet on the Black Stars to beat Egypt, I'm pretty sure your chances of winning some millions are pretty high.
All right, that's all of that on Bet Power. All right, let's get into the action, and it was a wonderful Tuesday of AFCON football. I personally loved every bit of what I witnessed. Let's start off with that game involving Burkina Faso and Mauritania. Now, remember, the in-studio guests I had yesterday, all of them said, looking at what had happened in the Algeria-Angola game, Burkina Faso needed to try and get something out of the encounter. Well, it almost went pear-shaped until the very end, when they won that game by 1-0. Let's enjoy the highlights. Burkina Faso taking on Mauritania. All right, Burkina Faso winning that game. And in doing so, they wrote their own little bit of history. It was the first time ever they were winning a group, like their first group game in an AFCON. So they typically do not win their first group games in AFCON. That's a very odd history to have.
Well, honestly, it's not odd because a lot of teams don't normally win their opening games at the AFCON. And a lot of teams don't normally win their opening games at the AFCON. And Tunisia is one. We'll get to Tunisia in a bit. But they haven't won an opening game at the AFCON in 5 straight editions of the AFCON. And so I don't see the Burkina bit as an oddity. It's the same thing with Namibia. They hadn't also won.
They had won an AFCON game ever.
And so, to see Burkina Faso break that jinx and manage to get a goal and a win in their opening game of an AFCON, that was positive to see. And it was good also for their coach, Rubel, because he has a bit of history, bad luck in history with the AFCON, because at the 2010 AFCON in Angola, he qualified Togo to the AFCON, but they couldn't participate because they got attacked by the rebels. Yes. In the rebel hold in Angola, that part of Angola.
I'm trying to remember the name.
Yeah, and they
Caminda,
yes, the Caminda district. And so they couldn't participate. They had to withdraw from competing in the tournament. Then he qualified Sudan to the AFCON a couple of years back, and he got sacked before the tournament started. And so for him to guide Burkina Faso to the AFCON and for him to be able to get a win in the opening game, that for me gave him a little bit of joy after several years of struggle.
Maybe he was the guy they were waiting for to get the
maybe it was a match made in heaven. But this game, I think this game so far, this game and the tie between Cameroon and Guinea, I think these 2 games typified what the AFCON is about. Very, very, very physical, very intense. The weather wasn't forgiving. It was brutally hot. I don't think the cooling breaks were enough. They should have had at least 2 per half because it was that humid, it was that hot. I think the temperature was hovering around 36 degrees.
Wow, that's intense.
That's intense. And so for them to be able to brave all these conditions and get a win, I really loved it. It wasn't the best of games to watch. Sometimes it was a bit difficult to watch because of a lot of broken plays, broken attacks. They will build the ball to the final third of the opposing team's half. Then a terrible pass and misguided shot attempt, bad decision making, and the attack fizzled into nothing. And so it made it a bit difficult to watch. But all in all, it was quite competitive, and it summed up what the AFCON is about. And I think the better team ended up winning.
All right, Bernard, your thoughts?
I think when you get 2 teams of this caliber who plays something similar. I look at 3 different areas that, brought us the win in this game. I look at the coaches, for example, and it's the area I want to talk about that, you look at that area and when the 2 coaches seem to want to, and I love how Young ended it, because when the 2 coaches love to play something very competitive and so tactical, it makes the game a bit boring, because at the point you realize that an area of the pitch is very crowded, players trying to win ball, the markings are very tight and close, and it does not make us see the beauty of the game. But then again, it is not as if the Mauritanians didn't come to the party. Look, Kofi was saving this team. I mean, it was Kofi and Kofi again and Kofi again and again. And you could see from the set pieces, he was saving, dead ball situations, balls where he didn't think it was going to come at him. He realized the ball was coming, he had sharper anticipation, and he got onto the ball. So for me, I feel Kofi was also, the guy that came to the party.
Burkinabe goalkeeper.
Of course, the Burkinabe goalkeeper. And the former Brighton star, a former Chelsea, man also Bertrand came to the party, where, we've seen Mo Salah nearly missing the penalty, in that Egypt game. So it's crucial. And the technique with which, we'll get to that game as well. Pesitao used to kick that ball. I was discussing yesterday on radio that, look, that's not one of the pleasant way to kick a penalty. Every penalty taker at competition should learn from the mistake of the baby Jet Asamoah. He had wanted to go, the rooftop of the net, and then it didn't end well for him, even though he had a chance at the spot to do it again when he went to the penalty kicks. But I mean, for Traore to keep his cool, calm and composure, and knew the time where the game had gotten to and gotten that ball at the back of the net, I feel it's something sumptuous. And I feel, when we get to the touchboard, is what Ed is going to talk about. I feel that the game was intense, and these 3 key areas is what I saw that played, a part in the game. For Mauritania, well, they are not of the same level with Burkina Faso. So we look into the FIFA rankings and what I feel we can see that. But I feel these 3 key components played an instrumental part of the game to let us have, a good goal. At the point, it was getting boring.
I see. Edwin Kakofi is joining us. Edwin, thank you so much. What did you pick out? Everybody will remember the score, 1-0, late penalty, Bertrand Traore, they win it, whatever. But for you, what were some of the things that jumped out? That's why you are on the touchpad.
Look, a couple of things from yesterday's game. I thought Mauritania gave a very good account of themselves for 94-ish minutes in the game. And then they let themselves down with a couple of huge mistakes, maybe down to tiredness, maybe down to a lack of commitment to the end of the game. I'd like to show a few moments in there. Okay. First of all, we've got our screen here.
Okay.
I'd like to point out our defender, our winger right here.
Okay.
I would like to say this is a very inattentive winger. you notice your marker making a move, yet it takes you so long to react to that move and counter the move.
Okay.
Because of that, it allows this player to get a run on him. So he receives the pass in a very dangerous position, forcing his colleague defender to have to make the tackle. And obviously there were some debates. There was some debates about whether it was actually a penalty or not. The referee eventually, at the beginning, did not give the penalty, gave a corner kick because he felt it was a very good tackle. Then he was asked to go and check out the VAR. We'll get a replay of that. I'd like to take this back a little bit. And we'll see whether contact was made. So if you take a look at it right here, you are a little confused as to whether the defender, what's his name, El Abd got a touch on the ball first, or whether Kabore was able to touch the ball first. So from this angle, this footage is still a little unclear. So I'd like to play it a little bit forward where we get the VAR footage. Yeah. Referee obviously is called to the screen to take a look at it, and we'll see the footage he is giving. So right from this footage, and I'd like to go back so that we take a better look at it, you can tell that Kabore got a touch on the ball first. Right here, you can see that Kabore gets a touch on it first, and then the referee gives the penalty to Burkina Faso. So a couple of defensive errors, first from our winger right here, and then from El Abd for the penalty. And this was the 95th minute. You do not give such a penalty away in the 95th minute. A lot of defenders nowadays don't know how to stay up and keep pressure on the offender. A lot of them like to go on the ground and make those tackles. And in this kind of situation, in this kind of high pressure situation, it's a terrible decision. And obviously, it cost Mauritania what would have been their 3rd ever AFCON points.
You know, quite interesting. You mentioned that. So, if you go back in that sequence, you know, Edwin highlights the first mistake of the winger who fell asleep, not marking his man. His back was turned to the play. The ball was played in the channel. He couldn't, you know, get back. Is it tired? What would you... Tiredness?
I think tired because as I mentioned earlier, it was 35 degrees minus the humidity. so yeah, it was demanding, and this was a very physical game that had players running all over the pitch for 94 minutes. And so to have Issa Kabore, who is quite speedy, ghost in behind the winger and just sneak into the penalty box and manage to just get that toe poke ahead of Abdi's foot. Yeah, it's just down to the fine margins. And it was so fine that the referee made the right call in reality. In real time, he made the right call by not giving the penalty because it was that close. But it was down to VAR that we managed to get the right decision. And I believe it was a penalty because Kabore managed to just poke the ball or touch the ball first before he got fouled by Abdi. And once that happens in the penalty box with a lot of with Kabore having a lot of momentum, he was bound to crash to the ground, and that definitely warrants a penalty.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was a correct call.
Bernardo, as we just wrap up on this one, Bertrand Traoré, he came off the bench to win that. Does he? So based on this, do you think he makes an argument to start the next game, or you feel that he's a weapon that is so useful that the coach should keep him in his pockets and play him as, like they say, like a joker, right?
Yeah, like a joker card.
Play him when the X factor, like when things aren't
like
really working well.
For some players, when you start them in games, they do not really perform. So then you need a right strategy and approach when you are going into your second game. And especially when you have your first 3 points, I feel, and I personally think that he's a big guy. I mean, he plays now for Istanbul, Besiktas. Yeah. He's a big boy. He's played in England. He's been one time with a big team, Chelsea. He knows the demands and what have you. Okay. For me, I feel you should put him in the game, start him. Okay. Start him because he saved your team in the dying embers of the game. He has the energy now, psychologically. When you put him on the bench and you want to start him from the bench again, he's going to think like, the coach doesn't really have some trust and believe in me to go deliver. And it might affect him coming on again. For some players, that would ginger him to come if you put him on the bench and start him again, for him to realize that he's the savior of the team and come and do the magic. But I think he should start him in the game. It would save the team itself. I mean, we saw how tactical the first game was. It didn't open up the game. It was not that beautiful. But should you start him in the next game? I think the players themselves are going to be happy because it's also going to boost their confidence and say, look, our man who got the important 3 points for us in this all-important group is the one who's leading us, and I feel he should start in the next game. But for me, that ball was not a penalty.
You wouldn't have given it.
That wasn't a penalty. I mean, look, what was the for a penalty to happen in the penalty box or the 18-yard box, there needs to be that strong foul, that strong tackle, that strong contact. Was there even a contact in the first place?
Yeah, there was contact. There was contact. And the thing is, especially with the multiple angles that we get, it's just like the Black Stars goal that was disallowed, the Majid Ashimero goal. Until you had that shot from behind the Cape Verde goal, I ruled it out that, oh yeah, this is a bad call, this is definitely a goal. But once that shot from behind the Cape Verde came in, you had Majid Ashimero, at the time he struck the ball, have Konigsdorfer right in the line of vision of the goalkeeper, Bosnia. And it's the same thing with this penalty situation. From the side, it looked like very, very minimal contact. And it looked like Abdi got a toe poke to the ball. But from the back, from behind, it was clear that he kind of chopped Kabori down a little bit. And then on top of that, Kabori came in with a lot of momentum. So the minimal contact that you apply, it will send him crashing to the turf.
I think Kabori was smart. I think Kabori was smart. I mean,
in this game, you have to be smart.
You have to be smart in tournaments of this nature.
Then you also had Kabori be the one to first touch the ball. And once he touched the ball and you didn't make contact with the ball,
that's the tipping point. Right, Edwin, you want to highlight the penalty?
Yes, the penalty. And I heard Bernard talking about technique. What Traore does is that he keeps his eye on the ball. A lot of players go through different techniques. Some like to look at the goalkeeper, some like to look at the ball. Traore goes and looks at the ball. And in such a high pressure situation, I've seen players like Pesitalas, we're going to talk about later, Mohamed Salah, especially Frank Lampard. Anytime they are in such situation to take maybe a late penalty, a penalty to put their team ahead, they go for power, or they go directly down the middle. Bertrand Traore does not do that. He has an idea in his mind of where he's going to. He looks straight at the ball, doesn't even focus on the goalkeeper or any antics he's doing, and places it calmly into the other corner. There was no chance for the goalkeeper, no going down the middle, no going for power, just a calm placement as perfectly as possible into the corner of the net. And we have ourselves a winner for Burkina Faso in the 96th minute.
Interesting. Bertrand Traore, Mr. Ice Cold, there, putting the ball into the back of the net to give Burkina Faso their first group game win in the AFCON. Now, so in their group, they've got, I think they have Algeria, and then they've got Angola. They've played Mauritania. So it means that we might see the default Burkina Faso against Algeria, because the Algerians now need to get something. I need to look at their fixture list. I'm not too sure which team they play next, though. But Burkina Faso on 3 points, so they are okay. Algeria on 1, Angola on 1. So now it's Mauritania who need to find something out of this. They were not expected to get anything anyway. So, wow. Such an interesting corner to be in if you are Burkina Faso. Yeah. Because one more win gets them into the round of 16.
Yes. And you asked Abeku this question earlier, and for me, I don't think the coach will change his tactics.
You think Traore is still starting?
I think Traore will stay on the bench because of the style of the teams that they'll play against. Because against Mauritania, very physical side, you had to wear them down to be able to get such openings and try to eventually get the goal. And against Algeria, you wouldn't necessarily have to wear them down, but you have to bring on players or star players who are defensively more committed than Bertrand Traore. So I don't also see him starting that game. Then against Angola, it depends on what happens in their game against Algeria or their circumstance at that point in time. If they've already qualified, then yes, he might want to start Bertrand Traore because they would want to be more expressive on the ball. But if they are in a predicament where they don't know whether they are going to exit or they don't know whether they are going to qualify, I don't see him starting Bertrand Traore. So in that situation, you are likely to see Bertrand Traore start off the bench for their entire run in the group stage, where you have players who are a bit more committed defensively, who are a bit more committed to the physical side of the game, start ahead of a guy who's a little bit more of a finesse kind of guy in Bertrand Traore. And so, looking at the profile of the teams in that group, I tend to believe that Bertrand Traore would start off the bench throughout their run in the group stage. Okay. If they end up qualifying before their final game, that's where I see him potentially start for Burkina Faso.
All right, interesting times for the Burkinabes. They have 3 points in hand. We'll see how they play out the next 2 group games in the AFCON. This is still the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV, proudly brought to us by Bet Power. Bet Power sponsoring the show. My name is Nathan Kwaya, with Jay Minta and Bernard Abilkuochi. They are my wingmen for today. Edwin Kwakofi is giving us the lovely illustrations, if you like, or the touchpad analysis. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, we have a lot to discuss. We'll have to talk about South Africa and that very interesting game with Mali. And then we talk about my favorite team of the competition so far, Namibia. They won against Tunisia. All of that in the AFCON. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV, proudly brought to us by Bet Power. My name is Nathan Kwao. My guests are still here. Bernard Abilkuochi, Jay Minta, and Edwin Kwakofi on the touch pad. Let's get into the next game on our hands, and it has to do with Tunisia. Now, the Carthage Eagles, they are usually not seen as favorites, but they have a very good reputation in the competition. Winners in 2004, and they've not gone too close ever since then. They are hoping that they will, right that wrong and do very well in that competition. They had Namibia as company in their first group game yesterday, and it turned out to be a very, very interesting game, especially for the Namibians. Let's see the highlights. All right, Namibia getting, I can say, the biggest result of the competition, stunning the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia and winning that game by 1-0. Dion Hoto, I'm sure forever and ever, his name is written into Namibian football folklore as the man whose header put that goal past Tunisia to give them, guys, their first ever win at an AFCON.
Yeah.
And they trained here in Ghana.
Oh, yeah. The benefits of training in Ghana. Benefits of training in Ghana.
Wow.
Benefits of training in Ghana, happily, because it's clear that the Black Stars train in Ghana in a begrudged way, because they didn't want to train in Ghana. They wanted to fly out to South Africa, and we kind of forced their hand and forced them to stay in Ghana. So they did it half-hearted way. But for Namibia, they fully embraced the Ghanaian experience. Then, yeah, they are showing evidence of that full embrace of training in Ghana.
Was any of you, or were any of you surprised at what you saw in terms of the performance, the execution on the day, the tactics, the body language, the hang-up? Bernard, I watched that game. After 10 minutes, I was cheering for the Namibians because I had not seen, if we talk about teams show up here, they are excited, but they looked really up for it.
Look, I always tell people that, football is won from the middle. It's a top argument, but when you have your middle crowded and you have sharp players or people looking for spaces in the defensive area of your opposition team, it grants you that's all purposeful, desire you went into the game with. And it seemed like that's what they did. They knew they were meeting Tunisia. They knew they were top opponent. They knew they had no chance, but they had it at the back of their mind that, look, Cape Verde have caused the biggest upset of this tournament. We need to cause the greatest upset of the tournament. And it is with finding a way to break these Tunisians down. And it is to stay compact. It is to stay, with what the coach has told you to do. And that's what exactly they were doing. So you could see that it was not too much of a tactical game, but it was too much of players following the instructions of the manager and delivering, as such, crowding them any time that the Tunisians want to get on the ball and want to feel comfortable. And it was that which helped them. And I mean, for me, you need to somersault to that goal. I mean,
I'm a stickler for
this
that.
is beautiful.
For the results, I wasn't too surprised.
You weren't surprised that Namibia,
because Tunisia is a team that is very defensive minded when it comes to tournaments.
To be honest with you, I think they are the oddest,
yes,
quote unquote, of the North African
yes,
teams. They don't play like a North African team.
No, they don't absolutely do not play like a North African team. They are very defensive minded, all about organization, very rigid with the way they play, very rigid with the way they set up. And so it works for them for the most part, where they consistently get to round of 16 quarterfinals in the AFCONs. But when you have to play against a team that pretty much does the same or even better, that's when the issue of they've been able to express themselves come up. And so for me to see them lose to Namibia, I wasn't too surprised because I was expecting some kind of a draw. And for them to lose to Namibia, I wasn't too surprised. But what I was surprised was what Namibia brought to the table. Their ability to create chances. Because they opened up this Tunisian team on more than 3 occasions. They opened up this Tunisian team on more than 3 occasions. They were a bit naive in attack. And that's what prevented them from getting more goals in this matchup. That's what surprised me. Their overwhelming commitment and their mentality. That's what surprised me because when you are playing against Tunisia in the AFCON, yes, they played against Ghana, but it was a friendly game. A friendly game comes with a different mindset. It's played in a different mood. But in a tournament, in an AFCON tournament against Tunisia, opening game, and to display that kind of ruthless mentality, that kind of mentality to match up against the likes of Msakni and co, Ali Malul and co, yes, that for me surprised me. But the results, looking at what Tunisia brings to the table and what Namibia brings to the table in terms of tactics and how they set up, this matchup didn't surprise me in terms of the results.
I think the surprising factor in the Tunisian setup is they have 3 players playing the Bundesliga. We know that for Germany, I mean, playing in Germany, for Germany, it's about how they set up their play. It's quite of a lot of play in offensive, attacking mindedness, in games. And you look at the Tunisian side, and I feel they should have had that energy, especially having 2 of the players playing in Germany start was quite instrumental to want to play.
I mean, that's 2 out of your starting 11. It'll be tough to influence that. But I guess your point, you would have expected the Tunisians to be a bit more adventurous.
That's it.
And it was easy for Namibia to match up with Tunisia in terms of dealing with the attacking threat because from the defensive line, you knew that the outlet was Ali Malul of Al Ahly, and he was the attacking outlet. And so if you double up on that side or if you overload on that side, you prevent them from attacking using their biggest threat, and you force them to go through the central channels, which they aren't really they don't have a real potent attacking option there, and that lessens or beats down the chances of you getting caught in attack. And so they played out their game plan very well, and they were organized and they were committed to the cause, and that's what helped them.
Edwin, you had an eye on that. What's the biggest thing you picked out of that very epic in the Namibian context, that epic 1-0 win over Tunisia?
The guys were absolutely right. Namibia played a really good game, created lots of chances. They matched Tunisia boot for boot throughout a lot of the game. But Tunisia absolutely have themselves to blame for losing this game, and I'll show you why. Let's go to the screen where we start with Museo on Namibia's left-hand side. He just come on in the 73rd minute.
So this is very late in the game.
Very late in the game.
This is almost 90th.
Yes, almost 90th minutes. Museo had come on, 17 minutes earlier. So a lot of energy, a lot of running there. So here he is with the ball. Tunisia were well set up. You can see how many defenders they have in or around the box. There's 1 here, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and then there's 5. This should be enough to deal with any threats that Namibia have to offer. But then, Museo with some really good piece of skill.
Okay. Maybe you can run it on. Okay.
We'll get back to it.
Okay. But basically, if you go back,
the defender slept on the job.
You think the defender slept
on the left side of Tunisia? Yeah, he slept on the
Namibia's
ball.
right.
On Namibia's right, and that allowed Hoto to just ghost in behind and get the header. And it reminded me of the 2006 World Cup. Yes, the quarterfinal between France and Brazil. Thierry Henry's goal. Yeah. Roberto Carlos fell asleep. He fell asleep tying his shoe, his boots, and he allowed Thierry Henry to run in behind him. And
it was from a free kick.
It was a Zidane free kick. And it allowed him to just tap the ball into the net. And so it was the same thing, but this time around, it wasn't a tap, it was a header, bullet header. Brilliant.
All right, Edwin, you were highlighting something.
Yeah, so we go back to our screen, and I'd like to highlight this moment right here. So Tunisia knew exactly what danger was up. Outside our shot here, we have over here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're having some issues there. But
No problem.
outside our shot, we have Hoto, who is, you can't see him, but
Yeah.
he is right here in this corner.
Okay.
Who is supposed to be marking him? Msakni is on this side.
Msakni.
Because Malou has been drawn into the penalty box closer to the other players.
But the question I ask is, how come Tunisia have put themselves in this situation where it is the almighty Youssef Msakni who has to do the marking?
No, in defensive situations, sometimes
Of
you
course.
have your
Of course.
left
Fair
back
point,
moving
fair point.
in to support the centre backs.
Fair.
So it means the winger has to do some defensive duties and
Okay.
come back and track back.
That-
And
that's
Sakni was supposed to be tracking back. And the interesting thing is that we have here a defender who is
Yes.
pointing at Hoto, who is free here, out of
Okay.
our shot, telling Msakni to mark his man. Unfortunately, Msakni does not do his job well enough.
Okay. And well, I mean, so you can tell us the sequence.
Yeah, as the sequence progressed, Msakni does not do well enough. So it pushes Malou over to, we can see him pointing at Hoto, who is out of shot.
Wow.
Msakni is supposed to be marking Hoto over there. He does not do his duty.
Okay. So now.
Museo puts in a wonderful cross, and I have to credit a
Yes.
wonderful cross. And Hoto has a clean header in on goal.
And I'm watching Youssef Msakni.
And he's
still-
opening his
he's
arms,
opened his
expecting
arms.
someone to be
And,
there.
yes,
But, yeah.
and this is my favorite shot of the AFCON by far. It's coming up right once we see the other shots. Obviously, Hoto has a really good header.
This
here.
is sweet, isn't it? I mean, the
A wonderful
smartness
move
of
from Museo to get past his marker, to put the ball into the box. Hoto with a really good header right here.
Yeah.
My favorite shot of the AFCON so far. In Sakni.
He will turn into a meme very soon. He's turning into a meme.
Because it's absolutely his duty. It's absolutely his fault. He was supposed to be marking Hoto. He failed to do his duty, and Tunisia paid for it.
Wow.
And it's shocking because that was his 100th appearance for Tunisia.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now he's the second most capped player in Tunisian history. The highest, the player who has the highest is their former player who also won the 2004 AFCON, Njaidi.
Okay.
He has 105. And this was in Sakni's
100.
Yeah, 100
What a
appearance.
way
And
to-
what a way to mark
to
that
mark
100
your
appearance.
100.
To play a decisive role in a loss that will go down in history as one of the biggest upsets in AFCON, in the AFCON tournament. Yeah, that's very shocking.
The image is so interesting. Just watching with his arms open. Almost like he's blaming somebody, or I don't know.
As the captain of the side who has played in 8 AFCON tournaments at the moment, you'd expect much better from him. Yeah, it seemed like he was trying to shift blame to someone else, but he has to take all of the blame for that. If he had kept an eye on his man better, he had tracked Hoto's run better, he might have been able to stop him from getting a free header on.
I see. And you pointed at Ali Malou, who was pointing and
yeah,
telling him.
Because it's a defensive scheme, basic, fundamental defensive scheme. The defense rotates to where the ball is, where the action is. And so if you have teams that are smart, or players that are smart, once they get the ball, they always try to take the ball away from that point of action or area of action to the opposite side. So you always have to be defensively sound enough and attentive enough to pick out the one who is running on the blind side. So it happens that if you want to catch a team on the break, we saw it in this past weekend. Newcastle catching Man City off the break. You saw that wonderful pass Bruno Guimaraes swung in for Alexander Isak. That's how you beat a team. That's how you get the defense to shift quickly. And once they're a bit slow in shifting, then you exploit the gaps. Sometimes in shifting or rotating to that side, then they end up losing their defensive shape because they are scrambling all over the place. Then you have the spaces also open up. Then you can exploit it. In it's not just restricted in football. In basketball, you know your basketball. You always hear this term. Yo, back door. Yes, the player is sneaking in through the back door and to get closer to the basket unattended. And so they'll always scream to you that, oh, check the back door, because you are focused on the ball. Where the action is going, you have the defense heavily rotating to that side. And so it's a scheme that teams use. Coaches always try to teach to their players on how to stretch the defense and quickly swing the ball to the opposite side and try to catch them off guard. And so for me, that was brilliantly executed by Namibia and well-deserved goal and win.
Mommy, for me, it's about the smartness of Hoto. You know, football is about looking for spaces and falling into the right spaces for such balls. I mean, I've always used the Baby Jet Asamoah as a typical example because I love attackers who run into critical spaces and makes it very difficult for the defender to think. And we saw that example. It was quite evident that he moved into a space where a defender saw him, was instructing his fellow player to look close up. And the attacker realized that it means the attacker was thinking ahead, you know, way above what the defenders were imagining, because their action, just like you have said, was on the ball where the incident was really happening. And a smart player will always look for space and again communicate to the one who is with the ball to try and channel the ball through him to the space in which he's created for himself. And voila, he gets the ball at the back of the net. That's just beautiful for an attacker to find.
Interesting. Now, Tunisia have got to think about what to do next. They are -1 goal difference, no points. They need to get points on the board if they will succeed. We wait to see how that group will play out. But let's get to the third game. And it was a very interesting one. Now, before the kickoff, when we had yesterday's edition of the AFCON Daily Show, Adam Kine was going through the social media comments. It was dominated by South Africans who were talking about Bafana, and they have to win, and they are doing well, and all of that. Well, they took on Mali. It wasn't such a pleasant experience after all. South Africa were beaten by 2-0 in that encounter. All right, Mali winning by 2-0 there. Guys, you know, it was very interesting. I can say that the South Africa looked good in the first half. But somehow in that second half, the Malians kind of took over, found their goals, 2-0, that was it, game over.
Yeah, the football gods would 9 out of 10 punish you if you don't take your chances. And South Africa had ample chances or ample opportunities to take the lead and potentially wrap up this game before the start of the second half. But they blew it. They blew all of those chances. And the biggest of all was the Pesitao penalty miss. Knowing that every opposing team will game plan for South Africa with the mindset of slowing down Pesitao, creating overloads defensively on him. Once he had that chance, he had to take it.
Okay.
And had he taken it, it would have given them a lead. But beyond just giving them the lead, it would have given them the opportunity to be able to be a bit more expressive and not too predictable when it comes to attack. Because you know that once they got the ball, just swing it to the right side for Pesitao to run onto. But had they had that lead, or had they taken that opportunity to take the lead, things would have been done different because the teams would have set up differently. Mali would definitely have opened up because they have too many players who are expressive intrinsically. That's how they are built to play expressive football. And so once they missed that opportunity, they gave Mali the chance to organize themselves, get their organization down to a T, and the expressiveness came to the fore in that second half. And the coach was concerned. The Mali coach was very concerned in that first half because he knew that his players weren't playing according to instructions. His players didn't look comfortable, and they weren't executing the game plan. But once they got to the second half, then they started playing and drawing South Africa out of their defensive positions, and they managed to draw fouls in and around the center circle, around the penalty box, and from that, one of those opportunities, that's when they got that first goal, all-important first goal, and things just opened up because South Africa started committing more bodies forward. They started trying to play out from the back to draw Mali on towards them and try to get the ball beyond them by hitting the ball a bit long. And unfortunately, that's what led to the second goal, because there's always a risk when you try to play out from the back. And the pass wasn't on point. Mali made an interception, gained possession, and managed to get that second goal. There was nothing the defender could have done about it, because he was on the yellow card. Had he been a bit more aggressive with
that's
his
a penalty,
or with his shove,
yeah,
that would have resulted in a penalty and a red card. And so you could tell from the goal that he couldn't really be aggressive with that shoulder shove. So all he had to do was just try to get the defender Sinayoko, the forward Sinayoko, to be a bit off balance. But Sinayoko managed to contort his body and managed to carry on with his run and just siphoned it. It was a very good finish. But South Africa have themselves to blame, because they created a lot of chances to have taken the lead and to have potentially won the game. They missed them and they got punished.
But if you are the Mali coach, how will you look at this result? Will you say, despite everything South Africa did, yeah, they got 2 goals, they are fine? Or you'd be concerned that if a team starts the way South Africa starts against Mali again, they may not come back, or they may not be lucky?
We know Black Stars to be a second half team, isn't it? So, I mean, football in itself are moments and chances. And every coach is aware of that. That's about the moments and chances. Then again, I look at other key principles that led to Mali winning. They knew that the first half, what the South Africans were doing was trying to keep possession, passing a lot around every area or department of the game, and trying to stay disciplined and know when to press and when not. So they had the first half to themselves. Now he was able to steady the game very well, go back to the drawing board and say, look, this is what the South Africans are doing. If we are able to stay defensively organized and catch them on the defense, we'll be able to win the ball and then begin possessing and then moving into key areas to try and find that moment and chance we have been craving for. So he got his notes right, went into the break and then came with that master plan to outwit them. I feel the defender, had the opportunity to think, and he refused to think. I feel anytime you do not have the ball and in your penalty, you should be by side with the attacker. And he was not able to do that. I mean, he thought that it's a penalty area. I've given him a shove. If I don't take care, it might end up in a penalty. What do I have to do? Keep running with him, try to make the angle more difficult for him, more slimmer for him, or more cuter for him, so he won't be able to shoot. So that even if he shoots, the goalkeeper will have, you have a minimal chance at goal. I mean, the attacker. But I mean, he thought and gave up on his thoughts and allowed the attacker to run into that dangerous area, and it led them on. I feel South Africa had everything on their chest to win in the first half of the game. Pesitao again, look, you have a lot of experience in tournaments like this. I think he should have come to the party. Penalties, as I indicated earlier on, the technique is quite important. You have to know when you are going low with power or placement, or you are going in the middle with power or what have you. You need to have that well rehearsed at the training grounds before you come into real game situations. And I feel at that point in time, it's not when you have to show that you are Pesitao. It's when you have to think about the team first and what you can get for the team, what you can do for the team. Look, it's about 6 games. If you take that game out, it's about 6 games to the final to get a trophy. Mm-hmm. And you need to focus on that it's game after game, and it's about the team first. And it's about moments and chances. So when I find this moment from the sports, I need to confuse the goalkeeper. Look at Traore. He was looking at the ball. His vision was, where am I going to place this ball? Should I go wide? Okay, let me pick one of the spots I've rehearsed with at training grounds. And it worked for him. Pesitao was not magic at that moment. And I feel with his experience and playing for one of the giants in Africa, that ball should have been at the back of the net.
Wow. So 1-0 South Africa, the game changes?
Yeah, yes, it definitely changed. As I said earlier, it forced South Africa to be a bit more pronounced with their attack, to commit a bit more bodies forward. Okay. In that first half, there was a 2-minute, 3-minute period where Mali just kept on possessing the ball, but the possession wasn't progressive. It was backwards, and it will start all over again with the goalkeeper starting the possession. They will pass it among themselves, get to the midfield area, just bring it back. They just tried several times to break down the South Africans, and they did it so without much success in that first half because of how compact the South Africans were. I mean, at the end of the day, they are being coached by Hugo Bruce. That's how come he got his first AFCON title win with Cameroon. That's how they play. that they go through games where they are pretty much asleep in an attacking sense for 80% of the time, stay defensively solid, take advantage of free kicks and a few chances that come their way via penalty kicks. And South Africa got it, but they didn't. And once Mali got that first goal, yes, they didn't have to press high. They didn't have to struggle for spaces because South Africa opened up a little bit. They now try to play out from the back. All Mali had to do was to pay attention and try as much as possible to track the runners, track the ball of those who are expected to receive the pass out from the back. Okay. They did so. They got an interception and they led to the second goal.
All right, South Africa losing that game by 2-0. Now they have a lot of work to do. Can they get out of the group? We wait to see. Let me go to some of your messages that have come in. Abeku, not the one here, the one from Aguna Swedru, says Egypt will beat Ghana by 4-0. Ghana won't have a single shot on target in the first half. Says go Team Egypt.
There's a nice way we curse ourselves, you know. Nice way, always a nice and polished way.
This one says, I think the government should send people to support the Black Stars, but they should collaborate with companies and restaurants. Okay, so that's somebody's suggestion.
Restaurant?
I don't know how the government will collaborate with restaurants. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe because let's say you travel to Morocco or maybe South Africa, their diet is different from the Ghanaian diet, and so you would want to go with a restaurateur or a restaurant group to provide meals for Ghanaians, because at the end of the day, you want them to feel comfortable.
You see,
right?
the things that inflate budgets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean by just cut it out. Don't do it, because at the end of the day, if you take them, you are responsible for their care and for their upkeep. So you can't put them in a situation where they are being forced to eat something that they aren't comfortable with. So you have to make arrangement for all these things. And so, yes, if you are taking them outside Ghana to a different time zone, a different country, give them the chance to also feel an element of Ghana. And that is true food.
Look, Nathan. Rice is a universal meal. What do you think of it? I mean, rice can be turned around into a lot of stuff. You can have your jollof, you can have your plain rice, you can have the rice, the oily rice, what have you. I mean, I don't think we should help restaurants. That's a budget that's going to. We bought coconuts for $100 in Brazil, and we're going to take. I mean, no. It's a no-go area. Let's not rehearse that.
But I thought you said we should. But it's the restaurant part.
It's the restaurant part. I don't know. I agree.
All right, no problem. Let's move on to talk about the games for today. There are two games wrapping up day one, if you like. Day one, if you like, or round one, if you like, of the AFCON 2023 in Cote d'Ivoire. Let's have a look at the games. Morocco versus Tanzania. Morocco versus Tanzania. On your screen is who's that? Is that Hakim's here?
Yeah, that's his.
The one and only Hakim's here.
Yeah.
The greatest player of all time.
Of all time.
Morocco versus Tanzania at 5 p.m. Quite interesting. We've seen the Tanzanians. I remember them so well from the 2019 AFCON. Very expansive, very excitable side, but not a lot of quality. So they suffered in that AFCON. Against Morocco, who have the weight of the continent on them, because you are the first country to ever make the last four of a World Cup. And now this tournament is the first one after that World Cup. Abeko, let me start off with you. You are Morocco, you've put out, everybody is expecting big things. But the Moroccans haven't won an AFCON since 1976, right?
Yeah, they've won it just once.
They've won it just once.
Yes.
Do they have the quality? And everything starts from today. They need to start the tournament well. What do you think of them, and can they handle the pressure of knowing that their country wants them to win? The entire continent thinks that this is the time where they need to tell us that making the last four of the World Cup was not by chance. And for them to tell everybody that, you see all this money we are spending, this is why we are spending all this money. How much pressure is on them?
Now, this explains why there are three nations who have pressure on them they feel it at this tournament. One is the host nation to host and win it. Two is the defending champion to try and defend it again. Then there's Morocco, who is first in Africa, 13th in the world, and need to stamp its authority, have fine players, and plays refined football, have one of the finest managers in Africa what's his name? Regragui. You know, so it goes a long way to tell that, look, this is the side that have fine facilities in terms of infrastructure in relation to football and what have you. It's one of the countries that have that. They have fine footballers who play in bigger clubs in the world. And you come into the African Cup of Nations, this is your first round, you know that countries are causing upset. And you look at the side you are going to play with, and it's not a side that you go and think like, look, this is a North African counterpart like Egypt, where there's a massive rivalry that will try and obstruct your play. They need to keep their heads cool. They need to keep their composure. They've shown us class at the world stage. They've showed us some fine, beautiful telepathic passing in their play.
But somebody will say that in the World Cup, they played 95% of every game as
underdogs.
And
all they had to do was just hit out on the counter-attack.
Now, can they take possession of a football game and say, we are favorites?
Yes.
Can they?
They've showed it. They've showed
so
it.
you think they have this other side to them?
They've showed it. They've showed it at the World Cup that, look, we're a country from Africa. The last time was the Black Stars trying to, get close, and it didn't happen. And we showed, and we've done it. We come back to Africa. We have just, among the countries that are big shots, with our name and our style of football, yes. But in terms of laurels or trophies, we are not close. This is one we have. And we need to go into this tournament like we aren't favorites. We are only a team that performed at the World Cup, and we want to do much.
Can they afford to play like that against Tanzania?
No, but that's what I'm saying, that you need to keep your head cool first and stick with the tactics of the coach. And know your roles as individuals. If you go and play like stars, Ivory Coast have done that on a number of occasions. It didn't earn them anything. So, you go into this competition with a cool head, listen to the coach, play as a team. Everyone should play his or her role, not, bigism, like they would say in my Fantasy land. You don't have to be showing that you are the big boy in the setup and try and play solo. You need to play as a unit and then get the result. It is important to have your first 3 points in any tournament that you go, because it sets the tone for you to then relax into the tournament. So even though there's pressure, it takes pressure to play Croatia. It takes pressure.
So you feel that they've been in high pressure situations?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they can show that other side, and that's why for me they are one of the most balanced teams in this tournament. Because prior to the World Cup, what was synonymous to North Africans? They play expansive football, that they love to attack from the wings, and they are very good when it comes to carving up defenses. And Walid Regragui, he came in and he more or less brought a steal to their style. And so it was more like what Fernando Santos did with Portugal, where that, yes, they have the style, they have the skills, but I'm going to bring a defensive style to this team to complement all that skill. And that's what got them the Euros 2016 title. Mm-hmm. That's what Regragui did with Morocco, got them to the semi-final. Now the script has flipped, where they go into this game as the overwhelming favorites. They are no longer underdogs. And so what that means is they have to open up in order to break teams down, because teams will be ultra-conservative when they play against Morocco 8 out of 10 times. And what that means is they have to turn on that other style of theirs or other side of theirs to be able to get past these hurdles. And I think, yes, they can do that. They can be conservative, and they can also be teams that they can also be a team that's quite proactive and quite creative and open. Because at the end of the day, if you have Ashraf Hakimi, if you have guys like Sofiane Amrabat, you have En-Nesyri, you have Ziyech, Hakim Ziyech. Yes, if you want to turn on the style, you can turn on the style. At the World Cup, I've never seen Hakim Ziyech defend the way he did and be disciplined defensively the way he was.
Again, the collective
exactly. And so he did that at the World Cup. I think this time around, especially against Tanzania, this is the time where you let him, you unleash him a little bit and you get them to express themselves a little bit more with the ball. And I think Morocco have more than enough quality to be able to do that.
All right, we'll see how the Moroccans will fare today as they take on Tanzania in their first game of the AFCON 2023 edition. Like I said, I would love to see what Morocco can do. This time, they don't have to defend 5 men in the box, 10 men in the box. Now they have to take the ball and attack Tunisia. Tanzania. Let's see. The Tanzanians will enjoy defending. They will enjoy sitting back, but they also need the quality. Let's see if they can do so. So that game is the first game of the day.
But when the Tanzanians, come up with the right approach, they might cause an upset. I mean, you look at South Africa, Mali, and South Africa was dominating in the earlier stages of the game. But I mean, in the second half of the game, it was Mali that was high pressing. Well, that was trying to keep them in their boxes.
Then it means Tanzania will have to, like Namibia, take their moment.
Absolutely.
Because if not,
I remember
it could come back to hurt them.
One of their most recent games, I think it was against Algeria in Algeria, where they played out a goalless draw, and they frustrated Algeria so much because they were very good defensively. And I expect to see that kind of performance against Morocco. But for Morocco, I think they should just be patient and expect that this won't be easy. If they get aggressive in the first 10 minutes and they manage to get a goal or two, it's all well and good. But if they don't get that early goal, I don't think they should panic too much. And they should just try to be cool and play normal football, the way Senegal did against Gambia. Just play out normal football. And one thing I noticed with the Senegalese was that they always try to find that third man. So Sadio Mane was in a brilliant position to shoot. He decided, you know what, I always try to look out for the third man who is a bit free, who is free. And I think Morocco have more than that in them for them to be able to pull that off and be able to get the goal. So for me, I see Morocco where I'm winning this matchup. Okay,
interesting thoughts. Let's get to the final game of the opening round. DR Congo versus Zambia. DR Congo versus Zambia. Zambia 2012 winners of this competition. Things haven't really been the same since they won the AFCON back in 2012. But they are back here. They've been to a fair few AFCONs following 2012. They are back here. They take on DR Congo. One of the most interesting sides on the continent. We know the kind of football they play. It is physical. It is bruising. But it is exciting to watch as well. They do play some very exciting stuff, but they are very physical. Very physical. And I get the Zambians might also deploy the same approach, the physicality there. So, thoughts on that? Abeku, it's a very interesting clash, DR Congo.
I'm looking at the former Ghanaian coach in the mix.
Avram Grant.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the highlight is, and the kind of football he's going to channel for the Zambians, because, this is his third time taking a team into, the African Cup of Nations, and of course his third as well. So it gives him that clear mind to think like, oh, look, I've been at crucial stages of this tournament before. I know what this tournament demands. And I have a team that has won the African Cup of Nations at a time nobody expected them to win. And this is a team that prior to enrouting to a tournament, they had a disaster, and there's a rich history in terms of football in that sense. So I go into this tournament telling these boys, look at all you've done in the past. And go into a game like this, which is much physical, with all the physicalities that you have up in your mind, not forgetting what we've done at the training grounds, and making sure that you prove why I am here. And I think he's there to win the trophy for Zambia again. It's difficult to tell, but that's. I mean,
Avram Grant has one final in his pocket, right? He took Ghana to a final. He should understand how it's done.
Yeah. But the fact is, Zambia going to this AFCON after several failed attempts. I think the last time they played in was in the 2017 AFCON. And that group that won the 2012 AFCON, you still have Stopila Sunzu in this setup. And so, he'll be the one to bring all the experience to the team. But I honestly see this clash as a clash of two teams that are practically even. And I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up in a draw, because I think they are equally matched. Equally matched. Looking at, in terms of talent, Zambia doesn't measure up to the overall collection of talent in terms of quality as the DR Congo folks. Okay. But I think with the inclusion of Avram Grant, his experience managing at the top level, and especially his experience in 2015, that 2015 AFCON run with Ghana, I think it gives him that edge over the DR Congo trainer, and that evens the odds. And that's how come I honestly see this game playing out or ending in a draw.
Okay. Is he going to wear his favorite Lacoste? Just one.
I haven't seen Avram Grant a lot since 2015. I don't know. Maybe he has a new polo shirt now. Maybe this time it's green. You know?
Yeah, to represent the country.
Yeah, maybe it's green. Maybe he's even wearing a suit. You never know. Avram Grant, very interesting character. Mr. Grant's ex-Black Stars coach there. I mean, I remember when he was head coach, he used to be criticized a lot for not staying in Ghana. People said it was always outside the country. I don't know.
Acting as a pundit and all that. Yeah.
So he's learned a lot in Africa, in the African terrain.
I'm sure he'll find the African continent quite interesting. So taking up a job in Zambia, it wasn't new for him, so he was going to take that up. All right, we'll be wrapping it up shortly. But guys, let me ask you this. This tournament, we've seen a lot of VAR decisions.
Yeah.
Right? From the Ghana game to everything.
The Burkina Faso game.
Is this why? I mean, we've seen some very strange, not strange, but very shocking results. So, for example, we saw Namibia doing a number on Tunisia, which I think is the biggest result of the competition. Burkina Faso got a late win over Mauritania. Not surprising, but the fact that they got a late win, their first ever group stage, win in the group stage of an AFCON. We've seen some of that results. People are trying to link the presence of VAR to some of these results. So, for example, Cape Verde, right?
Yeah, for instance,
if Ghana, a lot of people say Majid Ashimeru's equalizer stands at 1-1.
Yes.
Story probably could have been different.
Yes.
Some people say Kabore doesn't get that decision.
Yes.
Okay.
Mauritania get themselves a goalless draw. I think Namibia's game was a bit more straightforward. So your thoughts on the VAR decisions and whether or not they have contributed to giving us some of the results we've seen.
I think football has advanced. We need to grow with it. It's a beautiful game that we need to allow the emotions to also stay with it and not make it too artificial, So I love the bit of the oosh and ash when it comes. But VAR has helped. I think certain decisions in football in time past have been controversial. We've seen Arsenal play Barcelona in UEFA Champions League, where decisions should have gotten in favor of Arsenal because there was no VAR at that time, and Arsenal didn't have the opportunity, and it went against them. So I feel VAR has come at the right time at this level of the African competition to help make it more nicer. I don't think a lot of controversies.
It's how many times? Third time we're using VAR?
I think
twice.
I think there's a second.
There's
the last one in this one.
Yeah, so I think it's come in time at the African Cup of Nations to add to the beauty of African football. I don't think it has churned out more controversies, with the number of games we've witnessed. So do you think it's the reason why we are getting some of the results we are getting, or you put those results down to a different reason? It should be. I mean, it should be why, the reasons why we are getting the results, because it intervened at the right time where decisions would have been like, in time past, you get to the press and coaches are, worried about how goals were scored, how it should have been a penalty, and those. So I think it has contributed to where we are now. It's been solid so far for me.
I think aside the Ghana game, I think it hasn't played a direct role in deciding a game.
Okay.
Yet. I think aside the Ghana game, because with the Ghana game, as I said earlier, when you watch it in real time, Majid Ashimeru's goal, a valid goal, legit goal. But when you watch the shot from behind the goalkeepers, the Cape Verde goalkeeper's net, that's when you find out that VAR was spot on with this decision to cancel the goal or disallow the goal. And you look at the other major incident that VAR picked out, that Burkina Faso penalty. Yes, Burkina Faso practically was expected to win that matchup. And had they not had that penalty, they would have ended up in a draw. So I think,
or Mozambique leading Egypt 2-1, and that penalty is given.
But that penalty was legit. That penalty was like, he didn't even need a VAR decision because he just stuck his leg between.
I agree.
He just stuck his leg between the Mozambican defender's foot and the ball. In his attempt to clear the ball, he ended up clearing his foot too in the penalty box. And once you go behind someone's leg, it's a foul. And once it happened in the penalty box, it was a penalty. But honestly, I've been impressed with the officiating in this tournament. Yes. You had a lot of people
not for the Ghana game
criticizing.
Yes,
I was coming to that. I'm coming to that. You had a lot of people criticizing the referee for not performing well in the Ghana game. But what were the decisions that he got wrong? Which of the decisions did he get wrong?
Well, some people say that Joseph Paintel episode maybe should have been a penalty. The disallowed goal.
The disallowed goal was rightly called off. The Joseph Paintel penalty. Yes, we've seen minimal contact being called for penalties in other competitions or even in this tournament. But at the end of the day, it was how he, the angle, the point of collision too also matters. Okay. So for instance, there was even the Antoine Semenyo bit where the defender had his arms wrapped around Semenyon's waist. But Semenyo didn't go down immediately. He took about 3-4 steps before he went down. And what that tells me as a referee is that, oh yeah, you can go ahead and continue with your run. And once I've given you that advantage, if it's in open play, yeah, you have 10 seconds. But in the penalty box, because of the importance of what a penalty does, you can't have 10 seconds. Either you get fouled, you go down immediately, or you continue your run and try to finish off the move.
Or VAR checks it.
Or VAR checks it. And VAR didn't check it. And so it stands. And so for me, I think it has been successful. We've had less controversy with VAR in the AFCON because of the nature of the AFCON. Okay. It's very physical. And so if there is contact, there really is contact, like real full force physical contact. And so when that contact is off the mark, it's a foul. When that contact is off the mark in the penalty box, it's a foul, and that leads to a penalty. Look at the red cards handed out to Guinea and Gambia. They were fouls that on a normal day, you give out a yellow card. But with a VAR, they correctly point out that this is a very dangerous tackle. You can't just step on the Achilles of a player. Full blooded challenge on the Achilles of a player. That is a red card offense. So referee in real time dishes out a yellow card, but VAR checks it and prompts the referee that, look, you need to have a second look. He has a second look and knows that, oh wow, this is a very dangerous tackle. Okay. And it warrants a red card. He dishes out the red card, and it's the right decision. So for me, VAR has been on point. Officiating in this tournament has been on point so far, and it has been a wonderful tournament so far.
Okay, interesting. Predictions for today's game. Let's start. Let me start with you. Morocco, Tunisia. Morocco time. What did I say? Tunisia. I don't know why I'm saying Tunisia. Maybe I wish to see Morocco.
You're excited.
I'm so excited about Namibia.
I was doing the same thing on radio yesterday. I was also mentioning lots of Tunisia.
Morocco, Tanzania. Yeah. I don't think it will be too much of a spectacular performance from Morocco, but I think they will get the job done. So I'll go with a 2-0 win for Morocco over Tanzania.
Bernard?
I agree with him perfectly. I'll go for 2-0 for Morocco.
Okay, and the other game, DR Congo, DR Congo and Zambia.
I think we'll have our first 1-1 draw.
Have you not had a 1-1?
No.
We haven't had a 1-1, have we?
We haven't had
Not yet.
Yeah, I think it would end in a 1-1 or a goalless draw.
1-1 or goalless.
But I'm certain that I went in a draw. But the scoreline might
okay.
2-1 for Zambia.
2-1 Zambia.
Yeah. I'm to watch what Avram Grant would do, and I believe he would charge his guys too.
Interesting. Tomorrow the second round of group games will start. We'll highlight all of that tomorrow. But so far in this, Ghana also play. But
there's also Nigeria, Ivory Coast. Brilliant day of football.
Okay, so far, what's been your moment of the first round of group games?
First round.
Yes. If you had to pick one moment.
First round. Yeah, it will have to be Cape Verde beating Ghana.
I see.
Yeah, it will have to be Cape Verde beating Ghana because at the end of the day, it was, and because of the context, what happened, the drama, the VAR drama, the defensive breakdown. Okay,
our credits are rolling. Quickly, your pick on
about the celebration of the Cape Verdeans.
Run into the stands. I see. Interesting stuff there. Tomorrow we'll be back with another exciting episode of the AFCON Daily Show, proudly sponsored by Bet power. My name is Nathan Kwal, Bernard Abekuochi, and Yari J. Minta were my guests. Edwin Kakofi was on the touch screen a little earlier. Tomorrow we are back here with another one. Coming up next is Football Made in Ghana. They'll look at the Black Stars and all matters Ghana in relation to the AFCON. Many, many thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.